All right, the guitar middle class is dying.
That's right.
Stay tuned. Casino Guitar is coming at you hard and fast one more time. All right, so what we're talking about is me, Baxter.
And Sean.
And back to it from Casino Guitars. What we're talking about is we've been watching over the past, oh God, like decade plus or whatever, just how guitar prices have changed dramatically across the board. And we see what used to be the guitar that you would go in to buy as a new guitar player is now unobtainium.
Yeah, dude.
It's gone.
It's not real.
What Sean is holding is not an example of anything that's affordable. That's a Fender custom shop. That thing's bad to the bone. That's a special piece we had built just for the shop. But that's another point. Let's talk about let's use like Fender and Gibson and I guess PRS a little bit, like the big three.
PRS, yeah.
Sort of like to sort of talk about the painting of the brushstrokes and like how much these guitars cost. Now PRS, I'll give them a little bit of leeway because they started off as a high-end guitar company.
Yeah.
Only high. I mean, so did Fender, so did Gibson. Decades and decades.
Yeah, they're kind of like the boutique that transferred over to the other side.
Yeah, like they're doing all their cores and everything, and then it entered the sort of overseas production. They don't have a Mexican production, so they sort of skip that. Their overseas are sort of landing in that sort of $850 to $1,000 is sort of your average for their Indonesian built and. But let's get into Fender and Gibson a little bit more.
Yeah.
Fender, the guitar you used to get as a new guitar player that wanted a Fender was the Fender Standard.
I don't even know what that is.
It was built in Mexico. It was called, you either got the Standard or you got the Mexi. It was just, and that's just what we called it back in the day. So you're getting the Fender, and that was $450. And that was a lot of money, sort of, but not really.
My first actual Fender Player Series made in Mexico. That was what is comparable, right? Jazzmaster, $899.
Was that black Jazzmaster $899 when you got it?
$899. That's nuts, right?
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. So to give some backstory on this, Baxter knows about this guitar because before I worked here, I actually sold it to him. I had to pay taxes 1 year. And
I remember that. I was like, let's get this kid. Let's show him. Let's show him the burn.
You tried to tell me, you're like, don't sell it. And I was like, I got to. I was like, it sucks, But anyways, though, it was $899, which is funny. Yeah, that's double what it was,
No, not that long back. So the way Fender works and Gibson works is like they sort of the custom shops and the high level of their USA production sort of lead the way, and those inventions and great things that filter down through the brands into their Epiphone and their Squier lines. And now we got Classic Vibe Squiers are fantastic.
They are.
I'd say they're some of the best guitars for the buck, even though that used to be the buck.
Yeah, well, I mean, even I got some really dope guitars, and I'm grateful to have those guitars. But the other day I was thinking about it, I was like, man, should I get a Classic Vibe just to have something that I can take anywhere, beat up, wear out, and but it goes against a bit of my ethos. But they're that good that I'm like, it's still worth it to buy that $450 guitar. Yes,
it's a fantastic. But it's to the same point, I remember Classic Vibe Squiers were $250, and I hate being the old man crying in the clouds. Like back in my day. No, it's just the price increase, the guitar industry, the car industry a little bit. Not everything else. Some things are equalized. The guitars never go back down. We've learned. Once the prices go up, that's where they are. They don't go back down. Gibson did it once when they went bankrupt, but it's gone up in the same rate that colleges have gone up. We've sort of looked at the percentages. So in college is outrageously expensive.
Oh, yeah. College is insane right now.
And
I'm so glad my girlfriend just got done and we don't have to pay anymore. And it was like white knuckling the steering wheel the whole way through that drive, baby. But we made it. We made it debt free.
I was gonna make some middle school jokes, but it's college.
What keeps the poor? College.
College. That is a good grift for a lot of folks sometimes.
But with the Classic Vibe for $450 and kind of talking on how good that is and the quality, even back when it was $250, comparing it to what you could get. I don't think of the made in Mexico stuff in the same way.
No, and I think where you're going there is a great point. So is Fender doing this purposefully, maybe? Are they sort of nerfing their Mexican line a little bit and beefing up the Squier line to sort of make that the entry-level Fender And like, because I feel like the Fender Mexico is not what it used to be.
I agree. And I was thinking about it too, just right then about like, okay, what made a Mexico Fender would I really want? Like in the same way that I want a classic vibe, where I'm willing to say, yeah, I'm going to spend the money on it, right? And funny enough, like the Jason Isabel Telly maybe.
That's expensive.
That's really expensive though. You're talking about a $1,600 guitar.
Well, here's the catch too. I think brand identity is not as important as it used to be. Like I think like younger players come in, like they don't have to have it say Fender. Having it say Squier doesn't affect in the same way like is mine or even yours.
Yeah.
The younger cats coming in their teens, it's like a Squier is still a Fender, and Squier is kind of cool.
Yeah, man. And I think there's so much, like if you think back to like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there were, iconic people playing iconic guitars that were usually Fender, Gibson, in that realm, to where now I see guys and it's like, oh, that dude's playing a Novo. Oh, that guy's playing an Echo Park. Oh, that guy's playing it. You know what I mean? Like it's so broad now.
Well, and Epiphone's made some leaps and bounds too. Like they're almost leading the way for Gibson in some ways. And the president of Epiphone is the president of Epiphone. It's hard to say for me. The president of Epiphone.
Oh yeah, the
right.
P's. The P's.
Say the president
of Epiphone.
That was so much fun to say. I was like, I'm having
trying at home too. Seriously, no,
president
that
of
is
Epiphone.
Like actually weird. President of
No,
Epiphone.
he's done an amazing job. We have a whole video prepped on him actually, so stay tuned for that. Yeah. But no, it's wonderful, and we love that. Then we jump back in, but then let's jump into production. USA production for both Fender and Gibson and PRS too. So Fender for a USA production, their basic standard is $1,750 now. The American Pro 2.
Yep.
We were talking $1,500 in the pre-production of this video, and it's like no, it's $1,750. That's a substantial increase over $1,500.
That is.
So it was $1,499 when those dropped, and now it's $1,750, $1,749 and 99 cents.
Yeah, which I mean is crazy to think, and it's crazy to think too that the gap between the two has gotten so small as well. I feel like
the gap between what two?
Between Fender America and Fender Mexico. Like I felt like there used to be like a good size.
Well, there are Fender Mexican pieces that are that price now, and there will be some that are higher. We had the one that was over $2.
Yeah,
the Rocky, but we also now Gibson just had a price increase as well. Because we were just checking. I was checking out one of my favorite shops, Wildwood Guitars. Again, I was there on the internet, and I was like, oh, like those guitars are $29.99. They're now $31.99. This was a day later. So Gibson just did a massive price increase. All the standards and traditionals just went up a couple $100. That's just it's expensive. So you're $3,000, $31.99 for the Wildwood ones, which I would totally suggest if you're going to get a traditional or a standard, get it from Wildwood. They pick all their tops personally. They're better guitars. Do it there. Don't buy it from Gibson.com. Don't buy it from any other shop and go straight there.
Well, and everybody over at Wildwood's just great.
No, they're not.
They're great.
Terrible people. Terrible one. Me, especially that guy.
Suck the blood
one of their guys, he's a big race car fan too, and he's just like I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to shame him, but he's sitting there. He at work when you call him, he wears a NASCAR helmet with the little ear thing cut out so you can put the phone to it. He has an old rotary phone. Not kidding you.
That's
anyway,
incredible.
It's dope. At Wildwood Guitars.
I mean, but also with that, like a Les Paul is over $3,000. Like that. I mean, there's a reason why I've played throughout North Carolina for about 2 years now, right? And
how many Les Pauls do you see out there?
I've seen
in young bands.
There's only one coming to my mind right now. There's one band where the guy played a gold top, and surprisingly enough, it got stolen. Oh. And he plays a Telly now. He actually plays a Telly that's by a boutique builder in North Carolina that I am friends with, which it was pretty wild to see. We were all the way up in the mountains when he was playing that. I was like, whoa. I was like, where'd you get that from? And he told me this story. But I saw him with the Les Paul before
I played a Les Paul back in the day, but it was also a 1978 Les Paul that wasn't expensive back then.
Exactly. It was what you could acquire.
It was the Les Paul nobody wanted.
Yes. But now, like...
Now it's cool.
It's near about impossible.
Because of dumb hipsters.
Yeah, that's right.
These guys right here, they think those little mini humbuckers are cool.
I'll tell you, I see more Chapman guitars. I see more Fenders. I see...
they've done the study on all the festivals. It's 95% of the guitars at the big festivals are Fenders.
Damn.
It's insane. Like Fender owns that. So Gibson, they're trying a little bit. That's a whole other video. We can get into that. That's digging. We're just, again, concerned about the price increases. Even with the custom shop, we deal primarily with Fender custom shop. Love them to death. The best guitars made on the planet, we think. But the prices have increased again. Yes. And so we're hoping that this is locking down for a bit. We're steady. We're good. We're in negotiations with them to try to control that a bit, be able to offer better pieces at better prices to our customers.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see the prices come back down.
It's not going to happen.
I know it won't happen.
It needs to. It does need to, I think. There's been some that's gotten out of hand. And then, when you get to Murphy Lab too, like it's over $10,000 for some of these.
Yeah.
Not just the Murphy Lab, but the Tom Murphy painted. And then you get to private stock, you're starting at 12.
Yeah.
It's just like
it set a bar of that's where we're at now.
The most frustrating part about this is it stinks because these guitars are that good. They're really good. These Fender custom shops, the Murphy Labs, and the private stocks. I don't want to like private stocks as much, but every time I play them, I'm like, damn, why is this so good? Yeah. It looks the same as this McCarty 594. I know that's built like a machine, like a perfect playing machine, but why is this guitar even better?
Yeah. I mean, and the same thing with Fender Custom Shop, dude. Like we talk about this in the shop all the time. They are some of the best guitars on the planet. Like we've been lucky enough to play so many guitars, and still at the end of the day, I think I would take a Fender Custom Shop over a lot of things.
I tend to go back to that too.
But the price is starting to hurt a lot more, I think.
I was playing my Echo Park again last night. That was fun.
Yeah.
That's
a beast.
But that's also a really expensive guitar. I know, it's like I have some dumb guitars. Okay. No, so it's just, what do you guys think about? How do you feel about the whole, the transformation of the brand, sort of making their Epiphone and Squire and the SE line has become, what you're sort of supposed to accept as, and it's okay, as the entry. It's a...
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, yeah. Give us your thoughts. I know there's a lot of people out there that, they think Classic Vibe is the bomb, and that's where it's at. I do too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I kind of want one.
I mean, what I do is I get a Classic Vibe, and then I jump straight to custom shop sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. The American Pro 2 is wonderful. The American Vintage 2, it's weird, they're both 2s. That's one of the best production guitars I've ever played.
But the Made in Mexico too. It's on the way.
That was funny.
No, I'm kidding.
What's that one called? The Standard.
The Standard.
I think it's the Standard, right? The Fender, Fender Standard.
I mean, it seems like a lot of that stuff in between. It's like just kind of...
Well, that's because Sean is young, so it was called like the Standard, and then it was the American Standard. And the Standard we called the Mexi Standard. That wasn't not what they called it.
Yeah, they just called it the Standard.
They called it Standard. We were like, yeah, the Mexi or the American Standard, and so that was the Standard, cool. The American Standard. You should call it the Mexi or the Standard.
Wow.
And it was we don't do that anymore. So we've been rebranded. That's how it works. Click like, subscribe,
hit the bell.
Thanks for joining us. Save the middle class.
Buy a Player Plus.
Fight the people. Player Plus. Oh yeah, Player Plus. Yeah, I was like, that's a cool guitar too. That's the one with the noiseless pickups, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah.
I mean, you don't like them, but they're cool.
I'm not a noiseless guy.
You're very noisy.
That's right.
I'm leaving. Good night.